and also our NewsNation DC Bureau Chief, Mike Viqueira. Mike, good morning to you. What are you hearing in terms of reaction to Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick in Tim Walz?
Well, I think within the Democratic Party, it can be viewed as a safe choice. There was criticism of the other two top contenders, Mark Kelly of Arizona and Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, from the left, from the base of the party. Tim Walz sort of threads that ideological needle. He's got the liberal bona fides. He's a governor. He's been a member of the House of Representatives, and incidentally, the highest-ranking non-commissioned officer ever to serve in Congress. So he covers a lot of ground ideologically. He checks a lot of boxes. The fact that this is being rolled out now, I think, in the manner in which it's being rolled out, actually in this short telescoped process that you were talking about with Leland, I think actually works to Kamala Harris's advantage and the Democrats' advantage. And so, we're going to all be on the edge of our seats for a couple of days here. And the Harris campaign, coming off of that sugar high, as some are calling it, gets to have another few days of very positive coverage until we start digging down a little deeper.
What do you know about Tim Walz? I mean, people are going to be talking about where he stands on the issues, things he's said in the past, what he's done most recently, his personal life. What are some of the things that trickle to the top?
Well, I covered the House of Representatives when Tim Walz was a member of Congress from Minnesota. He wasn't really sort of a show horse, I would say. He was very much of a grinded-out party guy, known as an effective operator behind the scenes. But he never ran for leadership, as far as I can remember, in the House of Representatives. He didn't have that kind of within the House. And obviously, as it turns out, he had a sight set on what in the political world, the ladder of politics, is seen as a higher rung, and that is the governor of a relatively large state in the Midwest in Minnesota. It's unconventional in the sense that Minnesota, notwithstanding the polls before President Biden withdrew from the race, was inching towards toss-up territory. We'll see how that works out now. But it's unconventional in the sense that geographically, it doesn't make as much sense as a Pennsylvania Josh Shapiro would have made, or a Mark Kelly in Arizona would have made, and whatever bounce they could have gotten among the electorate in those states if Kamala Harris had chosen them. But again, you look at all of the relatively positive vibes around the Harris campaign, the surge in the polls, the enthusiasm gap that was evident between Joe Biden and Donald Trump that has now vanished. Democrats are motivated. They're opening their wallets. They're knocking on doors. They're doing all the blocking and tackling that needs to be done to run a successful campaign at the local level and in the suburban swing districts that are going to be vital here. And, of course, Kamala Harris heading to Philadelphia, whose suburban swing districts, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, has now become the Macomb County. In the 80s, that was the swing district in Detroit, in the Detroit suburbs. Now it's Bucks County and places like that in Pennsylvania and in some of the other swing states. So Tim Walz, ultimately, Marni, it's not going to be about Tim Walz. It's going to be about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Kamala Harris now gets more positive press. She gets more attention. There's more hoopla. And in this telescope process, the longer that lasts, the better it is for her and her campaign.
Mike Viqueira, as always, appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.